Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first, hopefully successful hybrid classroom. You see, Chris Nixon will be your instructor today. I'm Debbie Fajardo, the Director of Education, if you guys don't know me. And usually I don't talk to your backside, but the camera's at the front of the room. So this is being broadcast. You see, we have a smart camera over here. Brian Alford, our director, it's our Chief Technical Officer, has found us a really cool camera. So when we move, it'll usually follow us.
It follows you.
It can pick up sound very well. I am going to bump up the people on the GoToWebinar so you can see them up here. They can do some interactions in the class. I will be here making sure that the questions from the webinar are answered. And if you guys need any help, please feel free to ask Chris or myself. That's why we are back doing in-person classes again. Yay! I'm so excited. All right.
Okay, we're good, right?
Ta-da!
There we go.
Look at that.
All right, give me a second to mumble through all this and we'll get going.
Yeah, we've practiced a couple of times, but not with Chris. Sorry, and then I throw him to the wolves today.
All right, I minimize this. Okay, good morning. I'm going to be teaching how to do Cloud CMA. So some of it's going to be harder. This is my first time doing it hybrid. I've normally done them just at home. We have about 6 people in here today. Just so I know, how many people are familiar with Cloud CMA that are in the classroom today? You guys are. Okay, so I'm going to go through how I typically do a CMA and the way I was done. There are lots of different ways to do it. If you got any questions, check with, if you have a mentor in your office or a broker, check with them on the ways they would like to see things done. And also you can kind of follow along with me and try to do the steps. Sometimes I go a little bit quick, so it might be a little difficult. But Debbie always records these and puts them on our YouTube channel, and I'll show you how to access them and edit them down. So if you do find something that you're not quite familiar with or that I went a little quick on, you can always go there and find out the different steps. So I'm just going to get started on how to do what we call how to do CMAs. There are actually 2 kinds of CMAs, and I'm going to cover both of them. One's a quicker version. There has many uses, and the other one's a much longer, more of a presentation format that's through Cloud CMA. So with that, we're going to get going. It all starts when you get that call from a prospective customer that calls you up and says, hey Chris, I'm thinking of listing my home, and you go through whatever your pitch is and you want to get in front of them. And one of the things you throw up to them is that you're going to do a CMA for them, which is a comparative market analysis. Kind of let them know that it is not an appraisal because you're not a licensed appraiser. So the 2 can't be confused. All right, so you get that phone call. And the people say, we're thinking of listing our home and we'd like to talk to you about it. The first thing I always do is I come up here in the tax when I get the address, and I go to BSNA online. If you don't know how to do this, we have a class that shows you how to search through here. Our area is Sterling Heights. Sterling Heights comes right up. And then we're going to type in the address. In this case, it's 37780 Lola. Did I spell it right? Yep. And then we're just going to search. The reason I start with going through a tax search is because you want to see whose name shows up on the title. There have been cases when I've been called by estates. They wanted me to handle an estate sale for them, and there were actually 2 names on the title. And you have to ask, well, who's this other name? They both need to be there because you can't enter into any kind of listing agreement with, without the people who are on title. Also, you want to make sure, if it's a husband and wife or a mom and dad or a child and an adult or whatever, however it is, like a father and son or mother-daughter situation, whosever name is showing up on there, most of the time it'll be pretty accurate. That the only time I found it not to be if they did a warranty deed or something really quick and it hasn't been recorded yet. But it's a good place to start. So in this case, I see that there's only 1 property owner right there. So I want to make sure that I'm going to be talking to Nassim here when I go there. Had it been a trust, that's also going to trigger some other things within me to make sure that when I get there and I sit down with them, I'm going to ask them to see what their trust documents are to make sure they're authorized to sign and all those other things. So you don't want to go through this whole presentation with the hope of winning a listing and then the correct people not sitting there. The other thing I always do when I go on a CMA appointment, I always print out a whole listing packet or take my office's listing packet and kind of keep it in my briefcase. my objective to go give them the CMA and the information is to win that listing. And if halfway through my say, that's great, I'd like to list with you, I don't want to give them the opportunity to back out or think about it overnight. I'm like, well, here you go. Let's start the process. Let's get the listing agreement signed. That's why it's important. You want to see who's names on the title. I also look at a couple other things when I pull up this information, and this is public information. You're not trolling on anybody. It's a matter of public records. I check the tax data just to make sure the taxes are current. These people look like they have been. And I also see if there's any building department issues that they may need to correct or anything. Some municipalities have the building department issue, some don't. So this is a good place to start to see not only the property owner, but the year the property was built. This is going to help me do my search. When I enter my data for my search, I'll make the screen a little bigger. The square footage and some of the other things like that. And I also see that it's a ranch style home. So when I'm searching in my criteria, this is a part of Sterling Heights I'm very familiar with. So they do have ranches, they do have colonial style homes. So I'm just going to put in ranch homes there to search. And I also see that it was built in 1972 in this particular area. There's also enclaves, the little subs that are building with newer homes. Of course, I want to make sure when I check my data that I'm looking at homes that are of the similar years. I don't want to pull in a 2015 home in a CMA. So this is where I start with all my basic information as I do a tax search. And once I have that, then I go in and I usually print this and save this as a PDF that I can load into my CMA later on. You don't need to include this information. I like to include it most times just so people can kind of see where I'm coming from. So I would just print this, save it as a PDF onto my desktop, and then pull it in later on. I'll show you how to pull it into the CMA. So now that you have the information, now it's just a basic search at this point for homes that you want to include in the CMA. We come back to Paragon, we enter into the search. It's going to be a residential. And we go, I like to include solds and pendings as well. Although an appraisal typically sticks with solds, I like to include pendings and actives in my CMAs because that shows them what their current competition is. Closed shows them what the market's actually doing. Okay, that's telling them, hey, here's what homes are actually selling for, but here's your other competition out there, because pendings, we don't know the price of pendings, what their value is. They still stay at the list price until they move to close. So when I do a CMA, if I can get actives and pendings, I like to show them that so they can kind of see what their competition is going to be in the area. So I include all those. I've already done this search before I started the class, but because you have pendings and closed, you have to select a date range. I normally start 12 months back or even 18 months back to see how many homes I get, and then I filter it down till I get a number that I need. I already know 6 months is going to work, so I'm going to stick with 6 months. I don't worry about any of this other stuff right now. My screen may look a little different than your search screen because I've customized how I set this up. We have a class on that. I'm not going to worry about the year built right now or the acreage. I'm just going to go above grade square foot, and I know I usually go a couple hundred square feet either way of what it said on our BS&A. In this case, the BS&A had 1876 square feet. I'm going to go 1800 to 2000. Again, I've already done this search, so I know this is going to give me the results I want. I initially started out at 17 and 2000. It gave me too many homes. Didn't need all them for the purpose of the class. You want to ultimately get down to 5 to 8 really good properties that you can use. You don't need a whole bunch of them. Most appraisers are going to do somewhere between 3, 4, 5 closed properties typically is what they look at. So for you to come up with 20 properties and include all 20 properties is kind of a waste. So I have that. I have the 6 months. I'm not going to worry about bedrooms and bath totals in this case right now because most of the homes were built in the area where they're similar. So I'm going to kind of leave that go. The last thing I'm going to do is come up to where it says search by map and select the area I'm going to search. I'm going to enter the property address right up here in the search bar for the map, and it's 37780 Lola. And you have to include the zip code Otherwise, if you don't, it'll dump you out there in the middle of some lake somewhere. Yeah, just hit search. There's where my property is. I know I don't have to, for instance, I know Van Dyke doesn't put me into another county or another school district, so I can do a quick radius search here instead of doing a polygon search. I'm going to go with 3/4 of a mile, 0.75, and hit search radius. The reason I 0.75, it's going to give me the properties I need. Then I select the search button here, and it's going to pull up my search, my properties. Now, as you can see, I did forget something here. I'll show you on the default spreadsheet. I have colonials in here. I don't want colonials in here because my property is a ranch. So I come back up here to criteria and structure style. I'm going to put in 1 story, which is a ranch. And now I'm down to 7 properties when I do the search. All the colonials are gone. And I have 2 actives and 5 closed on there. At this point, I would take the time and I would go through each one, look at the photos, and try to come up with the best properties I can that I don't necessarily want to show all of the best properties or all of the worst properties. I want to kind of get a range. And also when I do my CMAs, I don't go in there with a fixed price in mind. I want to see what that prospective client feels their value of their home is worth. I did lose a couple of listings early on in my career when I did all my work and I felt I was really good. I went in with what I felt the property was worth and they felt it was much higher. They said they would think about it. I called them back the next day. They already had another realtor in there. Lesson learned. I'm a range and I see how they feel. They've already looked at Zillow or some other stuff to come up with a property value. So I don't want to be hard and fast. Plus, I've never seen the inside of the home. I don't know what it looks like inside. So I try to find some that are really nicely finished and some that maybe need more updating. If somebody has a pool or a sunroom added on, I typically don't include those in my comps because more than likely that house doesn't have those kind of things. So for time's sake here, I'm just going to select several properties without actually, I would open up each one and then do my due diligence and go through all the photos and kind of get a good idea of what I think it might look like. I'm not going to show you that part here. I am going to throw this little editorial out there. A CMA is a very, very important tool. People today, homeowners today, can get so much information for their house value online, which you're demonstrating there as the realtor, is you're demonstrating your knowledge to them and you're creating your worth for them the minute you walk in the door. So the more knowledgeable you are about their home and that little area when you walk in there for that CMA, the better chance you're going to have to demonstrate your ability as a realtor and their trusted source and advisor through this transaction. So you can do these really quick and blow through it and go, yeah, I just found these properties. But if you can't talk to what is there intelligently and they kind of know, you may not end up with that listing. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do is to get the listing. So I spend a good deal of time making sure my CMA has good information in it, that I know what's going on in that local market when I sit down with the people so that if they should ask me questions, I can better answer them. And, you know, again, I'm trying to get a listing when I go there. So we'll go back to where they are. There were 7 of them. I'm going to take the 2 actives, and then I'm just going to select, for this class, I'm just randomly selecting 3 closed. Oops, let me go back and double click that by accident. There are my 3 closed. At this point, we're going to start the CMA process. And as I told you, there are 2 versions. There's a shorter version available through Paragon, and a much longer, nicer looking format through CloudCMA. We're going to do the shorter version through Paragon. You've done your search. You've weeded out the properties you didn't want. So the first thing you do is come up here and hit this button where it says checked, and that'll eliminate all the ones that you didn't want to include in your search. If you want to see them again, just come back to the all button. That'll automatically bring them right back up. Once you have these properties selected here, the quick way is come to the far right where it says reports, select reports. Let me close this one. And come down to here to where it says CMA. This is the quick version offered through Paragon. You have 3 options here. You have the CMA quick view, which kind of gives the properties listed out like this, just a tabular format. You have the CMA spreadsheet, kind of looks like the other page we were just on. And the one I use most often is right here called the CMA summary, and that's what I'm going to talk most about. The CMA summary kind of has all your information on it. It's broken up actives, sold, and if we had pendings, it would be down below. When it has more than 2 properties, it, like we'll go down to the sold, it gives you the average, the minimum, the maximum, and the medium for each one of these categories you have here. If there's only 2 properties, as we have in the case of the actives, it gives you just the average. The nice thing about this tablet is it's custom. These columns are all customizable. Any one of the, you can change this to look however you want, to include whatever columns you want to include and whatever columns you don't. To change this, you just come to where it says customize up here in your toolbar, go down to fields, select fields, and right now we're going to do the active table, so it's already set to active. Anything you want to add, like if I wanted to add acreage in there, select acreage and add it. And then you can move this. I want to put it right after year built. Then you have to hit select save. The only issue I have with that, I'm a little OCD and I want all my columns to look the same. So I want it to be on the sold one. You have to change each table individually. So now I come back to where it says status, select sold, add my acreage, hit add, and move acreage up below year built. Year built, right there. Hit save. Now that will change the table. Both of them have acreage in there. Similarly, if you don't want something in, just come up to customize, and we'll just reverse the process. We're starting with the active. Go to acreage and remove it, and save. And I'm going to do just the same thing for the sold as well. There's all kinds of different categories that you can add or take out. I had a client who was obsessed with bedroom sizes. No matter the listing tickets I gave him, he just visually couldn't see them. So I took out everything, days on market, beds, baths full, all that. All I did was put the bedroom sizes there. When I presented the table to him, they finally understood what was going on. I also use this form. As you can see, it shows the asking price and the sold price, the average, the minimum, the maximum. The other thing I like this form for particularly is if I'm working with buyers and buyers say, hey, what price for this home? So you use the same process, you do the same search, you bring up your homes, and then you create this sheet right here. Now you can talk to them about maybe what might be a good price range to offer on a home if they're unsure of the market. So this form kind of has dual purpose. You can use it for a quick CMA if you have a client, a well-known client that you don't need to do a full-blown presentation to. A lot of investors this is my investors. I work with 4 investors. This is the sheet I give them all the time on properties. I don't mess around with a Cloud CMA. They don't want that, they don't need that. And I also print this out when I'm working with buyers after we looked at several homes and they're thinking of writing an offer. They ask me for more information. So this form right here, it's a very quick form, but it has some really good information, and it kind of has a dual purpose, especially if you want to change any of these headings up here. I had clients looking out in a rural area and they were looking at acreage. I would add the acreage there and include the acreage so they could see this one was 6 acres, this one was 5 acres or whatnot. Usually in a setting such as Sterling Heights, Clinton Township, Shelby Township, where those subs were all built at the same time, they were all on 1/4 acre lots. I don't include that information in there. The only negative with using this form is it doesn't compare any of the information back to your subject property. So the owner kind of has to know their information, how big their house is and everything else like that. But again, this form it can be done quickly. It's generated quickly. You can email it or send it as a text attachment to your client. You can use it for both buyers and sellers. It's a great form to use for those applications. And that's the quick way through CMA, through Paragon, which is over here in reports. And then down here on CMA, I use the CMA summary most of the time. So that's the quick one. The other way to do all this is through Cloud CMA, and that's where the bulk of this class is going to be. Cloud CMA is a really, really nice way to really put your best foot forward in front of your potential clients. It's very good to commingle with a marketing plan if you're going there to do the CMA, kind of have your marketing plan ready. And it's a great way to get yourself noticed when you walk in the door. The process is the same. We do the same selection that we did earlier. We narrow down our properties, but instead of coming over here to the reports button, we come right up here to the button that looks like a plug, I guess, lack of a better word. It's called Actions. You select the Actions button, and we're going right here to Cloud CMA and collect Cloud CMA. Now, for some of the agents that have been here longer, remember the days where we had to enter each one of the MLS numbers, and if you entered something wrong, it didn't come over. It was a giant pain. This automatically pulls them over for you in the bottom down here, the exact listings. The first thing you do, and I'll go over this page a little more, the first thing you do is you name it. I usually put their name on here. That's how I name it. If you had private notes, let's see if I can make this screen a little bigger. So you can see it. If you have private notes, you would include those down here. These notes do not show up anywhere. They only are included in your CMA. So if you wanted to add something in there, you could. You have their name. You have the subject property over here. So you enter the property. It should start to, there it is, it starts to auto-populate. You select that, and it gives you the beds, the baths, the square feet. Any of this information you can fill in here. I want to do because there's a portion, there's a report in this Cloud CMA that compares your subject property to your comparable property. So the more information you can get in here, the better it will be. This was, I think, a 3-bedroom. 2-bath. The square foot, according to BSNA, was 1,876. So I fill that in. And there's some advanced info. It's a 2-car garage. Don't have the area, and the style is a ranch. So I'm going to put that in here. So you can fill all that in. Right now, there's an opportunity to add a cover photo. I'll show you how to add a cover photo later on, but I want to show you what the report looks like without the photo first. If I have time and I got 3 or 4 days before I have to actually do the report, I may drive by through the neighborhood, take a look at the homes, kind of get a feel for what the street looks like, so I got a better idea kind of how their house looks compared to everybody else. I also, if I have the opportunity, might take a photo from the front of the house, but if not, you can use the one that's on BSNA or other places. So right now we're going to leave the cover photo empty. Here are your exact listings that we pulled in. I don't particularly, I've never used the quick and dirty one because that's going to be something that Cloud CMA just takes similar property and pulls in information. I don't like it because, again, it goes back to my point that I want to demonstrate my ability as a realtor. And so I don't want to rely on AI to select the properties for me. I want to select them. So that's why I'm going to do the search first and use the exact listings. Once this page is all correct, you can come up here and select Fetch Listings, this green tab. It's also at the bottom of the page. Either Fetch Listings will then start generating your report at this time. Now, Cloud CMA will start pulling all that information together and putting it in a format so that we can create the report. You have your subject property. I leave the price off. Matter of fact, in my CMA, I don't even include a price. We talk about it. That's my personal preference. Other agents, other brokers may feel they want to put the price in there. That is up to you. You can put your price in there. I also don't mess around with details and adjustments. I'm not a licensed builder. I don't know the cost of building materials, so I don't know if a finished basement that I'm looking at on a photo is going to add $20,000 to a home or an unfinished basement is going to take away $20,000. I'm not trying to get their home to match exactly something. Again, I'm not an appraiser. I want to show them what's there and what the homes are selling for. So obviously, if a home, there are 2 homes I selected that had finished basements and they sold for a certain number that was close and they didn't have a finished basement, and there was another property that didn't have a finished basement that maybe sold for $15,000 less, that kind of makes my argument for me. I don't mess with the details and adjustments. Some people like to. It's very simple. If you want to make a detail or adjustment, you just select the drop-down arrow right here, scroll down, type in what your adjustment name is. I'm just going to put, in this case, I'm going to call it 3-car garage. And, oops, my mistake there, 3-car garage. And the adjustment I'm going to say is 12,000, just for arguments. And we hit save. That would adjust that price up by $12,000. Again, I don't mess around with these. I'm not into the building trades. I'm a realtor and I stick to realtors. If you would have done that and then selected update, it would have adjusted that price. So I like these homes the way they are. I got my closed on tops going from the most expensive to the least expensive and the actives down below. If I wanted, if I wanted to change the order, I could select the sort option right here and go list price, lowest to highest. Why is that one jumping on down there? Shouldn't. This one's coming up at the bottom. I can just grab it and slide it. That's the order that my report will be in, with the active second. If I want the actives first, you can just select these topics over here and they will put it in order. My actives are first and my closed are second. Okay. So I got them in the order I want the homes to appear in the report. That's how you kind of adjust that page. This is an information only kind of page. In this case, I can see that all the homes are pretty close to each other. So within the same general area. So now I want to start building the report. So I select customize report. Again, it's also down here at the bottom of the page. Customize report. Are there any? I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to select customize report, but see, Deb, do we have any questions?
There were none so far. Thank you.
And anybody in class have any questions?
What do you think about that one with the 4 bathrooms?
I would probably pull that out. Again, for this report, I just selected them so you can see how the process works.
Yeah.
I would not be doing it this quickly.
Yeah, you'd get that out.
I would get that out. So to your point, let's go back to the listings. Do you remember which one it was?
Yeah, it's sold.
On Jerome?
There it is. Well, no.
No.
It said it. Oh, it's Arcola.
Which one? I'm not seeing it.
Right there. You're on it.
Here?
3 beds, 4 baths.
Oh, 4 baths. So if I didn't want to include that, all I have to do is come over here and select this green checkbox, and it will take it out of my report. Okay?
Yeah.
And now I hit customize. And similarly, if I had another one, I could just come down here to the bottom and hit add listing, and I can pull in another MLS. Okay? Another.
I guess that was more so. I know your presentation, you're not worried about it, but I was just wondering your opinion on that.
No, I wouldn't include it. I would have, again, I just randomly selected them.
Yeah, I got you.
So we took it out. We're updating. We're going to have 6 properties now. So here's where CloudCMA really makes it a great tool to become proficient at, is this whole customize the CMA report right here. It starts with your theme on your what your report's going to look like. Right now I have modern blue and silver. There are all these different colors to go from. If you work for a particular brand that has a certain color theme and you want to mirror that, you can. If you just want to select, I'll select modern blue and green. It changes all the information in your report where it needs to these colors. And the beauty is, if once you get through this and you don't like the color and you want to go back and change it, you can. It doesn't mess up your whole report. So we're just going to select this modern blue and green for right now. Hideous color, by the way. I don't ever use it, but some people like it. The layout, you have different layout options. You have photo with map. I don't typically use this if they're all within the same area, because of the first photo and then the map, if they're 3 streets away, I don't want to use that. 2 photos. I'm going to select this one right now, 2 photos, and show you why I don't like it, and also discuss some of the other options that are here, which is photo with max data, 2 column, 3 column, and 4 column. These I'll go over in depth later after I'm done showing you how to build the report. For right now, we're going to keep 2 photos. The cover. The standard cover that comes out looks pretty good. These are PowerPack design covers. You have to pay a premium to use them. I've personally never paid the upgrade to use them because the way it comes out through CloudCMA looks fine enough for me. Maybe if I was in a different type of market, if I was doing more higher end homes or something like that, luxury homes, I might consider using one of these. I'm just letting you know that they are available to you. Close that out. And then the font. You can change the font. Universally, it changes anywhere there's a pre-formatted document. You can change the way it looks. I don't even know which one I have right now. I'm just going to go with Lotto, whatever it's called. And that's going to anywhere. So there's a lot of pages in here that are pre-formatted that you can use. And so this will change the font on everything there. And if you don't like the way it looks, just come in, change your font, select another font. It does a universal change across through CloudCMA, and it's one click and your report's ready to go. This is my standard default template with all these pages in it, all the way down. I'm not going to use all these pages. I don't want them all in here. And then everything above PowerPack is where you're going to find where these different categories, they're all drop-down arrows. If you select one, these are more pages you can add if you want to or not. If you want to see what a page looks like, just come over here and open it up, and it'll bring up what the title page looks like. This is what the CMA, this is what the cover looks like. The reason I don't like not putting a house photo in is because, as you can see right here, you get the overhead view with this little purple blots right in the middle. It's really hard to draw, really hard to see. You want to make sure the name is spelled correctly. Otherwise, whatever you put here, this is how the report's going to appear. And the only other thing that's a little bit of an issue for me is it's always dated the date you print the report. So even though I could create this 2 or 3 days ahead of time, and if I printed it out then and took it to my client on that day, it would have been like if I did it, you know, it would be dated for that day. So if I have time, I try to do my report first thing in, you know, before I go there on the day of. Your photograph, your name, and all that other stuff is in there. I'll show you how to get to that later on when we're done to fix it, if you need to add more information. So before we go too far into this, I'm going to close out. I'm going to come back here to the criteria page. And where it said to add a photo, you're going to have to bear with me here because I got to shrink my screen to add a photo. You select where it says add cover photo. Now from the BSNA photo, I lifted the photo to my desktop and saved it for this property. So we're going to add the photo now. You select add a cover photo. I go to my desktop where it is, my real source info. This is, it has to be saved in a JPEG format. You hit open, select open. It'll pull that photo in. I'm not going to crop it for the class. I'm just going to leave it right now as is. That'll be there, and update listings. And now, when we go to customize report, it goes through the process here. When we look at the title page, oh, it didn't load it yet. I gotta publish and then go back. You'll see what it looks like once we publish it and go back now that the photo is in there. We did save it, didn't I, Debbie?
I know.
Let me go back and check. Add cover photo. Well, this guys see how to do it twice.
Just in case you missed it the first time.
Yeah, open.
Because where's the save on that? That's just crop.
Yeah.
Crop,
I think if you hit crop, it'll
saves
say,
it.
Yep. Thank you. That's why you guys are here.
That's because you usually drag it in from your desktop. You
Yeah.
always go the other way around.
There you go. Update listing. Now it's saved. And then we go into customize report. And when you look at the title page, should be in there. It's a much better look. Much better look than that purple thing on there. So that's the title page. There are a lot of very, very good, I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff right away because I don't have it. There are a lot of good pages in here that have pre-formatted content. One of them I like is what is a CMA? Even if you're an experienced agent and you have pretty good talking points, but you just want some more additional talking points, or if you're a newer agent that is looking for some things to, you know, improve in your presentation, here's something that explains a little more what a CMA is and how it differentiates from an appraisal. So I like this page. That's what it looks like under the current font that I have. If I didn't like the font, it's an immediate, I hit the wrong thing. It's an immediate change. We'll go up here to bidder, automatically changes everything. What's a CMA? You'll see that font is going to be different. You see it's more curly. So whatever font you like, that's how quickly you can change the stuff on the pre-formatted pages. On a lot of the pre-formatted pages, you can include them or not include them. There's some really good information in there. Map of all the listings is just what it says, a map of all the listings. Summary comparable properties listing chapter. Here are all the different chapters that you're going to have in your CMA and the different pages that are in there. This is comparable property statistics. Cool little chart that's in there. You can open up each one to see what they are and what they're all about if you want to include it in your report or not. And just go from there. There's a seller's net sheet. I don't know what they owe on the house or anything, so I'm not going to include that. Here's some more things about under the closing chapter regarding if you have difficulty as a newer agent trying to explain the commission distribution. This is not necessarily a bad little spiel to give out there if you want to, that kind of says things. You don't have to include any of these. Any page you don't want to include, all you have to do is on the left, you'll see this red circle. We just delete that. Why you need a real estate professional. Tells you that pricing and timing is a pretty good one. I encourage you to go through CloudCMA, set one up, and look at all these sheets and see which ones you want to include or don't include as you go through. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of these because I don't want them all in here. And again, I want to get to show you how a CMA would look. Here's a moving checklist, staging your home. Come on. Work overview. Whatever you want to include in here, you can. You can include. If there's something that you deleted that you want to add in there, you come over here to these drop-down titles on the far left, select that item, select plus, and it automatically throws there in the appropriate area that it needs to be in. I prefer my contact page to be my very last page. So with anything, if in CloudCMA, if you want to change it, just come up here to select that bar, click on it. It turns from an arrow. It goes up here and becomes a crosshair like, and then you just drag that page wherever you want. In this case, I want it my last page. So now assume you have this report kind of set up the way you want it to be set up. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. I get backed up when I have to look at the big screen than down at my computer. It gets a little your fingers sometimes. Okay, so here's kind of how I want the report set up. We're going to go ahead and publish this report just to see what it's going to look like. So before you publish it, I always name it, and I just do their last name. What is it? 2 D's, right? Save as template, put in the name, and then just hit save. The reason I like to save the template, if I just because that way, if for some reason I come back, it's not going to load in all those other pages that I just deleted. So now I'm going to go and publish the report, and we'll talk a little bit about what these final reports look like and some of the different options that you have. This may take a while to publish up. There it is. It's still publishing right here. Now, one thing that I also do before I do a CMA is I send these to my local office supply. I got their email where I send it out to them, and I have them, for me, printed on a heavier weighted paper, color two-sided. The reason I send it there, it runs me between $12 and $18 to get a long report printed out. I have it a spiral bound or something similar with a clear plastic cover. Again, I'm trying to create an impression when I walk in there. Home computers don't print that well. Your paper isn't, your paper's thinner, so it kind of bleeds through, and the report does not look the same. And then if you send it out like that, that's just how I do it. I prefer to do it like that. I figure it's a $15 investment to try to win a listing on a home, whatever the price is. It's worth me to make that investment. So when I walk in from the very beginning, I'm already creating a much better presentation than potential other clients that are coming in. So the report is done generating. So we're going to select View PDF. And this is what your report's going to look like. And right now, it's 41 pages. I'm here to tell you 41 pages is way too many pages. They will get bored, they will get lost in it, and you'll lose their interest right away. So I just want you to see what the report looks like with everything in it. Especially newer agents, they think if they put all this information in it, it will help. The reality is I've sat through some of these presentations with agents, and you can just see the look on the people's faces. They just start getting bored. But here's how it'll look. Some of these are pre-formatted pages that are in there. Got the map of the listings. I'm going to kind of scroll through a little quickly. And I want to get down here to where the photos are. Remember, I selected two photos for our cover page. This is why I don't like two photos. The problem is all of us as agents, when we load up our photos, we have our primary photo, then we usually do exterior shots, and then we do coming in through the front room, and then the front room or the kitchen. We go room by room by room, and we load those photos up the same way. Well, CloudCMA pulls those photos in the order we loaded them. So in this case, I got two photos of essentially the same thing. To me, that it's like it doesn't look good. It's not a good look in the report. And then because I only had the one selected of the first dozen photos, all we're seeing basically in this house is the kitchen. The next house, you know, we're seeing a few more photos. They loaded them up differently. The third house, again, we haven't gotten out of the kitchen. We don't see what the rest of the home looks like. There's a way to fix that. If we go back to CloudCMA here and go back to CMAs, and then here was the one I saved. We're going to edit it. And I'm taking you through some of the steps here. It's a little cumbersome, but we have the class, and I just want to show you how to use it. There's some of the tools and the way to do it so that you can go home and make your own choices. We don't need to go to update listings. All we have to do is come right back over here to customize, and it'll take us right to that customize page. And under listings, we can add more photos, all of the rest. And that will drop it down here where all the photos are. I can take on adjustments and some of these other things. And we'll get rid of all this. Just again. And then we're going to this page, we would save it again, but I'm just going to publish the report because I'm going to be coming back here again. I want to show you what that looks like. So while this one's publishing, we'll wait for that to load up and show you what this report looks like with all the photos in it. Oh my God. Any questions so far while we're sitting here?
Will you be going over the live?
Yep. Cover that in the end. Thank you. That's a good question. So the report's going to generate the same. I just want to show you where the photos are at, and then tell you actually why I don't use them. But I want you to see. So here's the house. Now we have all the photos. We have 1, 2. That one has 2 pages. This one has 1, 2, which is 2. This one has, let's see how many pages of photos. 1, 2. Are they going to get 3 on here? They have over 3 pages of photos. Here's what I found starts happening. When you include all these photos like this, the people you're sitting down with, they start looking at their house compared to that house, but not for the stuff that matters for selling. They start saying, gosh, why would they put in those cabinets? We don't like those cabinets. Why would they do that granite? We can't stand that granite. Ooh, I really like the dining room set. You've lost the purpose of what you're there for. The purpose you're there for is to establish a price so you can get the listing, so you can get their house listed. And I found that when you put all these in there, people start looking at it more like they're going through Architectural Digest magazine. All right? I'm allowed to say that, can I?
Oh, yeah.
We're not sponsored by them. So I stopped using these, and I'm going to show you what I went to, because first off, it makes your report very long, and secondly, they lose focus, and you keep trying to bring them back to that, right? And I don't want them looking at their other homes, because the other problem I had was they felt their finishes were better than their finishes. So if they got, you know, 320,000 for theirs, well, our kitchen looks much better than theirs. We should get 330 for ours. Well, as we all know, we've walked into homes and, you know, people had their kitchens brand new, redone, and the person walks through and goes, "Oh my God, why would they put those cabinets in? We absolutely hate them." And you know, everybody's taste is different and everybody's value is different. So I'm showing you right now the different tools that are offered through CloudCMA. You put in what you want in your report. We're going to get to now how I typically build my reports. Any questions on this? We're doing good on time too.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to CMAs. All right, we're going to come up here. We're going to edit this. Now, and we're going to, again, just up to customize. And here's your report. It starts out the same way. Out here in the layout, I'm going to go pretty quickly through these so you can see. I don't mess around photo with the max data because it's just non-information about the home when they're all pretty similar. The two-column comparison, and you almost have to see what it looks like. So I'm just going to select two-column comparison, go to publish report. And so you can see actually I want to take the time so you can actually see what this looks like with the two-column comparison. I don't mind the two-column comparison. It's good. What it basically does is it eliminates all those photos we had earlier, but it just shows two at a time on a page. And as you read across the lines, you can see list price, and all that other stuff right there. That's what a two-column comparison gets you. And because now you don't have all the interior photos, we're not fighting that, you know, hey, my finish is better than your finish type scenario. I'm going to go back. Again, I'm just showing you real quick so we can see what these pages look like. Then I'll get into the final actual report and some other things that we add in there. Here's the edit. We come up here to customize, and then because we want to change the pages, I'll show you a three-column comparison. Three-column comparison, we're going to publish this report. Just because I want to show you what a three-column comparison looks like, and then finally the four-column comparison. And this one publishes. All right, view the PDF. And actually, we fully didn't understand the differences in all these for quite some time. Remember, Debbie? Because I'm like, what's the difference? And then we took the time to figure out what the actual difference is. The three-column is a little nicer. You have the three properties, and it reads straight across with all the criteria in there. Three columns, pretty good. That's the three-column comparison versus the two-column. Back to the two-column.
Looks like an appraisal.
Yep, looks a little better. It's a little cleaner, but still, there was one thing I didn't like about it, and what I didn't like about it was it didn't compare back to the subject property. And if you remember in the very beginning when I said you want to fill in all that information as much as you can so the subject property can be compared to everything else, the only report that's going to give you where it compares the subject property to the other properties is the four-column comparison right here. This is what all my CMAs are done now, and is the four-column comparison. We're going to publish this so you can see how this one looks with the four-column comparison. This is what for me, this is the essence of a CMA. It gives you all the information of everything that's on the market, their actives and pendings if there are, so their competition, their solds, what the current market is showing the value of their home is worth, and how their property aligns with what is out there. So when we view that, we get down here to the four-column page. There it is. And because we had multiple, more than 3 properties, there's going to be a couple pages. It will always start with the subject property, which in Cloud CMA is always identified by purple. Green is active, yellow, I think, or orange is pending, and red is closed. As we go to the next page again, here's the subject property right there. So that is why I like the 4-column comparison. It takes care of several items. Number one, it gets rid of all those photos that we don't want to waste our time looking through, and it shows their property with the information kind of going right across, line by line, page by page. They can always see what's there. And that's what I feel the CMA is really there for. So now, go back to the CMAs. So within the CMA, you also have the ability to add what we call custom pages. Typically, I load my custom pages first, but I wanted to show you how to do a CMA, and then we go to the custom pages. To do your custom pages, you find your custom pages up here where your icon is in the upper right corner. If you don't have a photo loaded, it may be a circle with just some initials in it. You select your icon, and let me get this out of the way. You have account settings. By the way, that's where you would go in to check to make sure your email is correct, your phone number if you had to change your cell phone, or if you maybe change brokerage and had to change your email, just make sure it's all right, correct in there. Also, if you want to add some different accounts, I think Facebook and stuff, you can add that to appear as well. That's under account settings. We're focusing today on custom pages. There are 2 types of custom pages in Cloud CMA. You have custom pages, which are like PDF are just that, they're Word documents. You can create a Word document and then bring it in off your desktop. I have this one, I have standard created. It's called your CMA Criteria Explained. I include that in all my reports. Basically what it is it's something I created in a Word document that I just modify for each CMA as needed. It's got the person's name, little salutation, and then it explains briefly what were the criteria I used to select the homes how many homes I used, and any other information that I want to put in the report. The most important thing on this page, though, is what's noted down here on the bottom. I let them know 2 things. One, that it's based on market activity at the time the CMA was prepared. I mean, I give somebody a CMA and then they call me 3 or 6 months later, or 3 months later, that let's list the home. Well, those prices may have changed, right? So we want to revisit it. And I got in there the statement, market conditions are always changing. And the other thing is that the very last line, it says this CMA is not an appraisal. Okay, I stress that throughout a couple of times just to let them know that this is a CMA and it's based on current market conditions. So you can create a Word document and bring it in, upload it, and then edit it as needed. That's, oh, my arrow's back in the way again. That's up here under the add a new custom page. The other thing you can add is our PDFs. One of the things I always do before I go on a listing is I pull up their property on Zillow, and I see what Zillow is showing the house for. I'm fairly confident most people have checked some sort of online value analysis already. So I kind of want to see where the property's at, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I just go to Zillow, I screenshot that page and kind of edit it so it looks like this. I've already saved it. This is what it looks like. That is Lola, I think. Yeah, it's for Lola. Also, here was the BS&A page that I saved for Lola Drive right here that I pulled in if I want to include all the tax information in the beginning. It's very easy to load a PDF onto CMA. Unfortunately, to load a PDF, you have to scroll all the way down the bottom to where it says Upload PDF. Select Upload PDF. And then in this case, I already saved my market stats because I want to include the market stats for Sterling Heights. The most current one is September. It's already saved on my desktop. And then you just select Open. It will add that as a custom page. Now, these are universal custom pages. They're not specific to a report. So if you do a lot of CMAs, you'll get a lot of PDFs and you'll get a lot of other information in there. That's why I kind of name them the way I do with the address and then what it is, because then it'll store them together like that when you go to the CMA custom page index to try to add them to your report. So I have my custom pages the way I like them. We're going to go back to The Cloud CMA, go back to the Cloud CMA and go back one more. Take me right there. We're coming into this report that we've been working in. We're going to edit it, and now I'm going to add some of the custom pages. Edit. So don't need to deal with listings. Just come right up here to hit customize. It'll take you right to that page that we do everything at. We're using the 4-column comparison. Down here in the drop down, the last drop down, it says custom pages. Select that drop down arrow. And here are all the custom pages I have saved in there. Here's my CMA criteria explained, which I'm going to add to my report. You just, because this is a Word document, you can edit it. So you just select the plus arrow, that'll add it to my report, drops it in at the bottom. And here's the market stats for Sterling Heights. And here is also the Zillow screenshot. And the reason I include the Zillow screenshot is up here under the analysis chapter, there is a page called Online Value Analysis that I like to include in my report. I'll open that page and show you what it looks like. The reason I like to include this one into my report is it tells you, first off, it's powered by Zillow. We get the information from Zillow. It uploads into our feed here. And I like that because this makes my argument a lot easier. And this is telling me that on average, of the 3 homes that were sold in here, Zillow was off by a little bit of money. I've seen sometimes where these have come back $12,000 or $15,000. So if I think they've already looked at it, I'm not going to try to make my argument any more difficult. All I have to do is show them this page, and now we can talk about, well, do you really want to go by what Zillow's saying? Because nothing's selling for what Zillow's saying, or maybe Zillow's got them underestimated. In this case, they said it was worth $369.5. It sold for $3. This one was $423, and it actually sold for $420. So in that case, Zillow isn't that far off. They looked at it. You're not talking them off a big ledge. But I include this, and I include what Zillow shows as well, so that, again, I'm trying to demonstrate that I'm doing my homework on their property. It's called the Online Value Analysis. I include that in my report. So I am just going to dump out a bunch of pages. The other thing I take out is anything that says analysis chapters or listing chapters. I take out anything that's a chapter heading because in the report it becomes a single page, kind of like a tab page. And because I don't print out my reports with tab pages, it kind of becomes a wasted page. So I don't personally like them in there, so I get rid of them. I don't want a lot of unnecessary information in there because I want to give them a very concise report that shows the comparisons of their property with the information in there, to hopefully we can come to a price that we agree on and I can get a listing. Your CMA criteria explained is one of those pages I usually put up right after the page that's called What is the CMA? Online value analysis, right behind that, I put the Zillow screenshot that I had. Sold property analysis, commission distribution, and then market stats I like. And then I just want to find contact me. I like that as my last page. I removed it earlier and put it right here. I'm going to save this template, name it same way I did before to there's 2 D's in there. I'm going to save that. That's saving my template. This is my template. This is what my CMA looks like. It's got the 4-column comparisons. We're going to publish this report. And now load it up pretty quickly. There aren't a lot of pages. Now I'm looking at, I only have 13 pages. That's a pretty good report. I might be able to take some other stuff out of here, but 13 pages, you're only going to have 6, 7 pages double-sided. You got all the information in here. It's a quick, concise report. Here's my summary comparable properties. My goal is to get them to start discussing price as quickly as we can. Here's the comparable property statistics. I like this. That shows this page that shows, you know, what's selling and what the prices were. Here's that online value analysis page, followed by the Zillow page right here. you know, and then the sold property analysis, right now they're averaging 9 days on market, average 104.9 of the list price. You can kind of look through this right here and see that page. And then the local market update. I like to include this page. This is through our market stat. What? Yeah, market stats class. It's actually fast stats. If you don't know how to do it, we got a quick little class that shows you how to do this report, and it lets them know what's going on in their neighborhood year to date, and also that current year. And then here's my contact me page. It's my last page. Again, this is a 13-page report. It's really quick. It's going to look really good when I send it out to when I take it to my clients. If you had a marketing plan that was in a Word format, you can load your marketing plan in there and actually include this as part of it, or you can keep it as separate. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of Cloud CMA. You can pull all this information in. So this would be something I would then save off at this point. I would send this over to my office supply store and say, hey, print this out on the heavier weighted paper, two-sided and all that other stuff. I always take a black and white copy for myself just in case I want to write notes on it and scribble notes on it. That's just how I do things. So those are the two reports. There's some other things within Cloud CMA that you can do. We have the view live right here. We viewed the PDF, and you can email the report. You can copy the PDF as a link, or we can do the view live. The view live, did it take? No. View live, there you go. View live is something you can send it to your potential client, and you can do it and not have to be face-to-face. I personally am not very good at using this. I've never had to do any of these, fortunately. I've played around with it. My recommendation is that you create the CMA, you send it to yourself and with a live link, and you practice going through each one of these little titles that are here and the little pages, and how live actually works when you're working with the client. If you want to do that so that that you can do it without having to actually be there. I believe you set up like a Zoom call with them, and then you send this to them, and you can walk them through everything that is here in each one of these tiles and graphs, and go through everything. Is that about right, Debbie?
And don't forget, we have the cheat sheet on it that Colleen DeLange did for us. It's in Paragon. In the upper right corner, you'll see MLS documents. There's also ones for everybody on our webinar. It is uploaded into the handouts there. But the live streaming, it's simply called Cloud CMA, I think live.
I'll show you how to find that Debbie's talking about at the end. But that's what live is. Live is it's a nice tool. It was particularly very useful for agents that were still able to manage to get a few listing appointments possibly during the time when we weren't allowed to go out and meet people. That's live came out as a result of it, and you can use it to this day if you want. I haven't had cause to really go out and use it a whole lot, so I'm not as familiar with how to use it live. The other thing that we're able to do is if we go back to the CMAs, on your title block right here, you have these three dots in the upper right corner. You also have view PDF and view live from right here, of course, edit. In those three dots, you can also pull up copy the PDF link and everything we saw on the other page, but we also have a slideshow. Slideshow is a little different than live. What a slideshow is let's say you're actually going to bring your client in to your office, and your office has a big monitor that you can connect to the monitor, and you want to do a little bit more of a presentation style format, kind of like a PowerPoint type thing. This already creates it in the slideshow. This is the home button that brings you back to the home, and these arrows just take you through everything. And the sold homes, there's a drop-down arrow, so it'll bring you into the sold homes, and then over to your right. So you can control this from your desktop and let them see it in big screen. If you wanted to show them the photos of the home, just drop down, and you walk through it. It's pretty easy, and more photos and all that. Here, the home button takes you right back to the home button. Right, left, down, arrows takes you to the next home. All your pages are in here the same way. That's called the slideshow. It's a nice tool if you want to bring clients into your office and sit down with them and go over that rather than actually going to their house. It's kind of hard, though, to do a CMA for somebody if you can't get inside their house and see what their fit, finish, and their qualities are around the house, okay? So it's a great tool to use, but bear in mind you actually need to go and you got to get inside the house to see how it looks. But I'm just showing you how you can access that. That's up here in those 3 dots. You can email the report as it is, or you can just delete the whole report altogether when you're done with it. So those are the 2 CMAs that we have. The first one, all of them begin the same way. The first thing you do is you go and do some sort of tax search to try to find out who's on title. You want to make sure you're talking to those people before you set up an appointment with them. I also had cases where, an estate called me. I did the title search. I'm like, hey, there's another name here. Who's that? Yeah, before mom got really sick, she added my sister to it, but we're not talking. The family's not talking to her right now. We just want to sell the house. I said, well, unfortunately, sister has to be there because she's on title. Yeah, we don't want her involved. And I tried to persuade him, said, I can't, if the sister can't be there, I can't be there, because you're never going to, you will not have any kind of legal binding agreement with them, even if the estate were to sign it. So that eliminates some of those problems there. It doesn't happen too often, and it's also a good thing if it is an estate. A lot of people aren't familiar with the process of selling through a trust and what documents are needed and everything else like that, because the last thing you want to do is go through all this work, you finally get an offer, everything's accepted, and then title companies are asking you for all this information that they don't have, that might need to go to court and everything else. So talk to a broker or a seasoned veteran who's a veteran agent who's dealt with trust transactions in the past to see what documentation you might need to be asking for up front. There's a whole lot of them. There's a whole bunch of information you should be getting up front. So the first thing you do when you get that call, to recap, is you go to do a tax search, see who's on title. The second thing you do is you do a very good search using the information that's on public record tax information, and you select the properties you want to use. Once you get here, you have 2 options. The first option is a quick report over here through Paragon, is just selecting the drop-down reports tab, come all the way down here to CMA summary, and that'll give you the CMA summary. You have the customizations in the field if you need to, but if not, you have a generic spreadsheet that'll come out there. This report, the CMA summary report through Paragon, is also very good, has a dual purpose to use with buyers that maybe aren't sure what to write a price for. So this is a good tool to use on both buyers and potential listing. The other way is, once you have the property selected, we go up to the action button, select action, and go to CloudCMA, and then begin that whole process going through CloudCMA, building your CloudCMA report. And that's the report that's going to be more detailed. It's going to look slicker. There's things you can add to it. You can add your own marketing presentation if you want to, all kinds of, you can add client testimonials in the report, reviews, you can add all that in there if you want to. My personal experience is sitting down in front of the clients, they want to get to the price right away. And the more information you give them they start getting really bored pretty quickly. So give them what you can to determine that price. As a side note, I always take a listing packet with me. I've thrown away more listing packets when I've got home, or put them back in my office than I needed to, but there's also been some times when I'm glad I had them, because I got them to sign the listing agreement right there and we started the process. So those are the two ways that you can do a CMA through Paragon or CloudCMA. If there's no questions regarding CloudCMA or Paragon CMA, I'm just going to go over a couple other things why we still have you here, and then wind up this class.
I got something quick.
Yes.
I was always the reason why I asked about the live, I never really looked into it, and then thought you might, and you did, so thank you. Is there something that if you went to your past CMA, could you go to the page where you have your past ones that you pulled up?
Good question. So how do you get to your CMAs once you've already done them? It's in this tab right here to CMA. Select CMA. You can either do it through there or through resources. Resources is right here, CloudCMA, or right here, CMA, CloudCMA. Either one takes you to CloudCMA, and it always brings you up to your title page. Right here.
So let's say here, let's see this. Let's say Ron. You dealt with him maybe a month ago, and now the appointment or he wants you to come back, or whatever the case is. So you're gonna go see Ron.
Let's do this one, because I know this one's a little. Oh no, we'll go here. All right.
So how would you? I thought live might mean live. Now here's what really happened with those properties. So if you went into Ron's if some of those pendings have closed, they would show up now. When you pull that up, would they show, they would still show pending?
No, so what yes, it would show what, so if you go back here, it's going to pull up at the time you generated the report. If you want to change it, you got to hit fetch listings, and then it'll circle through it and pull them
back and do it again.
You would have to go into the fetch it. If you saved the template and published it or printed it, and then you go back, it's going to save that report as it is. So in that case, if you're going back to one that's already older, you want to go back and you want to hit the fetch listing, so it'll refresh everything to make sure what has changed. And you have to save that template different, otherwise, and rename it. Otherwise, you'll lose your original one.
You'd redo the CMA.
I would, yeah, absolutely. I always go
We're
back
not
and.
far away from maybe that technology.
What's that?
But we might not be that far away from that.
Actually, if you republish the listing, would it not update the listing information?
I don't believe. I think you have to fetch the listings to update the information on it, on that. So again, that's why. I also save my CMA searches. When I do the Paragon search, I save it as a, I would put Nassim CMA search, and I put the date. So if they call me back, first thing I'm going to do before, I do anything, I'm not going to go to my CMA report. I'm actually going to go to that save search in Paragon, pull it up, and see how it looks. All right. And then I have the CMA. I'm going to go to my CMA, pull it up online, and see what did my CMA show that I published and what has changed since then. Okay. All right. And then if nothing's changed, then it's like, yeah, we're still good. If there's been enough of a change, I'm going to let them know, hey, there's been changes. Let's go on. So what I would do is I would then come here and I would save this search as, this is just how I do it. Yeah. And then CMA, was it 11/2-22? That's how I would save it as my search. I'm not assigning it to somebody. So that way, if I ever had to come back to this, I've had people call me, like 6 months, a year later, and they're looking to list their home. I'm like, all right, well, let's see where things have changed, right? Because I stayed on top of them. I casually dripped on them and stayed in touch with them. They had the information. They're like, okay, we're ready to sell now. Well, now we got to see where things are at and how much it has changed in that time. But that's why I saved my search, because I already know I have the basic criteria in there. And then if I don't get enough information, I can always modify my search at that point. So then this would be saved under my searches, save property searches. And it should be right here, would be this one would come up and get. See here, another CMA I did way back in 8/20/21 for these people. And now if I pulled that up and looked at that information, here we are a year and a half later, that might actually all be changed. So those are the steps that I do. If you have another way that works better for you, hey, great. I mean, by all means, go ahead and use it. On some of the information I put on, if your broker or the person that's mentoring you has their view on it, go with whatever you feel comfortable. There is no right or wrong way. It's whatever works best for the way you want to conduct your business. I would highly recommend going back into some of the pre-formatted CMA pages and reading through those, because they give you good talking points to help that information flow out when you're in front of that potential client on what to say or what not to say. It really just helps you polish up your speech a little bit. So any other questions? All right, with that, we're just going to grab a couple of housekeeping items that Debbie talked about. The first thing is on our homepage. This is what everyone's Paragon homepage should kind of look like. Right here on the top is our YouTube page, right in the center. If you select that, it takes you to our My Real Source YouTube page. It's a really good page. There's all kinds of information in there. Debbie takes the time to edit a lot of the videos. There's Colleen Delange right now. She's one of our instructors. She's on staff here. She's also a realtor. All the instructors that Debbie has, we're all realtors here, so we kind of are using this in real world situations. We're not just somebody. I'm not here from CloudCMA telling you how to do stuff and never have done it myself out in the field. So I use this all the time. Colleen's another agent, and she's actually on staff here. Here are all the videos that you can find here. Please go in and subscribe and like to us. It just helps us with our record, helps us get I don't know why we got to do it, but there's some reason why. Just do it.
Just do it.
Damn it. Just subscribe and like. You know, we're not going to bombard you with stuff. And the back end, it helps my real source in generating more, getting more looks and hits on YouTube and everything else like that. There's a lot of really good information on the YouTube page. Debbie, you want to add anything on YouTube before I go to the rest?
Actually, they're also sorted by playlists. If you see right above Colleen's headshot there, here we go. See the playlist, the titles?
Yes, right here, playlist.
Yeah, I love the playlist. Colleen and I have worked very hard on getting them organized. You'll see all of the vendor MLSs right there. Ed's in there as well with his testimonial. Thank you very much, Ed. We greatly appreciate you. You'll be back again for another one, trust me. But they're organized by which ones you want. All the CloudCMA, Paragon, whatever you want there, your market stats, lead generation, they're all in there. So we just kept a little bit more organized for you guys.
And then that's on the YouTube page. Back to our home page, and that's found right here. Of course, our training calendar, quick links over here for technical support, class schedule, items like that. But the other thing is in the upper left, this thinner blue bar, it says MLS documents.
That's actually your right, but whatever.
Yeah, you're right. The left part of the upper right bar. Damn it, Debbie. You go to MLS documents, and here's where you're going to find the stuff, the MERS education folder right here. Selecting this one, is this the right one this time?
Yes, indeed.
The 98 files. Here's where you're going to find all the PDFs, all the cheat sheets, the things. If you sign up for one of the classes, and Debbie usually follows up with a lot of times you get information that goes along with the class. If you can't find it, you'll find those all right in here. All you have to do is come to the search bar, type in a subject, and it should pull up everything about CMAs, and you can find these cheat sheets, as Debbie calls them, all right in here. Here's a one for CloudCMA lead gen, which I didn't touch on, but it's in there if you want to go through the steps to find some of that stuff. And that's a great resource for you that we have for you here at My Real Source. That's MLS documents, top right corner. Oh, it's already open. And then
See the name of the folder right there.
MLS folder. It's this one under My Real Source right here. Oh, sorry, the 98 files right here.
See, and the reason why we have our own cheat sheets, we know that CloudCMA has put theirs out too, but we use it in conjunction with Paragon. So CloudCMA isn't going to teach you how to use CloudCMA along with Paragon. They work with multiple MLSs across the country. So that's why we will typically call this class sometimes CMA is the My Real Source way, because we use the power of the MLS to find the comps, as Chris showed you, then bringing them into cloud with a great presentation.
So that's all we really have for this. I cannot stress enough, especially with newer agents, really learn to do the CMA process, because this is your first opportunity to get in front of that client, potential client. They're a customer at this point. They haven't signed a contract, so they're not a client. But this is for you to demonstrate your worth and your knowledge for them, is to become their trusted real estate advisor. And even if it's in a market area that you're not familiar with, if you take your time and do the due diligence when you're doing your searches, you'll have enough information that you can address most of their concerns when you're sitting there. And ultimately, the goal is to win that listing. You want to win that listing. The last thing you want to do is give them this really, really great report. They say thank you. Someone comes in behind you and steals a potential listing from you. So if there's no more questions or anything else, I thank you all for coming here. This is our first live class back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yay. So thank you all for coming here. And it's great. I've been doing this class for 1.5 years at home, sitting in front of my computer screen. It's like, it's so...
Talking to nobody.
Yeah, talking to nobody. So my dog's in the back yawning. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. If you've got any questions, feed them over to Debbie. I'll let you close it out and sign us off.
Thank you, everybody. All right, thank you. Out on GoToWebinar World, we also appreciate you guys as well. All right.